Hi, my name is Debra Wallace, and I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I've had a private practice since 2003, and I absolutely love learning about human development, neuroscience, relationships, and finding ways to synthesize, integrate all this amazing knowledge we now have into experiential interventions that we can use like that to help heal and grow and improve our relationships and connection to ourselves. So I want to teach you today. I created this intervention that I teach everyone that I work with called the ABCs. I'll talk more about it, of course. And I'm also trained in trauma, EMDR, and as I mentioned, neuroscience. And I kind of created this intervention using the process behind memory reconsolidation. Now I'll say more about that at the end, because I'll get right to the useful bit that people can absolutely use. And ABC stands for acknowledge, breathe, and coping thought. And so whenever we are feeling overwhelmed or upset, our nervous system, our body, is giving us cues. We will have signals, tightness in our chest, shortness breathing, trouble thinking. I just published a book called How to Train My Brain, which I highly recommend, describes more of what happens. Because when we get overwhelmed in our nervous system, I use the gator in my book. However, it is located in our low brain, back here in our brainstem. This is the part that's kind of like reflex, and it stores all the things that we have learned or experienced under 0 to 7, and then any life events that have gone on that we've had no safe place to process and make sense of it. And so I'm a huge fan of taking time to process our negative emotions. And it's completely normal and human. We actually default by suppressing, repressing. Our society doesn't really enjoy. Emotions are messy. However, if we don't deal with our emotions, we will keep repeating the same patterns, which will create negative conflict, tension, not only in our minds and our bodies and our health. It'll also affect our relationships and our workplaces and every relationship we're in. And so it's really important to take some time to process the material that's coming up when we're getting activated, because we're not getting activated for no reason. There's often, and I often say, the bigger the reaction you're having, the more likely it has to do with some stuff that's back down in your low brain. And obviously the brain is much more complex. In my book I do a triune brain, but the brain is totally complex. But I really love simplifying concepts so that people can use it and make sense and use it. So when you're overwhelmed, your nervous system is telling you signals. And so ABCs, the A stands for acknowledge, the B stands for breathe, and the C stands for coping thoughts. And so at bare minimum, whether you're at work, making dinner for the kids, do whatever you're doing, driving the car, things happen out of our control often. And ABCs is just a quick way to come in and process the material in a way to hopefully help you rewrite the fears that are coming up. And I'll mention more about memory reconsolidation and how it's effective. So acknowledge stands for acknowledge the thoughts, the feelings, the sensations that are coming up in your body, what happened, any memories that might be coming up. And then B stands for breathing. And I recommend alternating the A's and the B. So in a moment, let's say you're at work and a coworker does something that feels rude or upsetting or anything, you will say, "Whew, I am noticing my gut feel heavy." Breathe. I'm offended by what they just said. That did not feel good. Gosh, it reminds me of when so-and-so used to say that to me. And really breathe in through the nose and out through the mouth. Making that out breath helps a little bit more, but don't overthink it. Just breathe. I'm really upset. I'm having a hard time focusing now on my work. And that's A, B. And you just do that until you'll start to feel your nervous system settle a little bit. And when you feel like you've done enough, and again, I'm just saying you can do this in 30 seconds, minute tops. It could just be one thing you acknowledge. That's fine. Just acknowledge your feeling. Acknowledge you're upset by what happened at bare minimum. And breathe. And then C stands for coping thought. And it's really important that you choose a coping thought that feels true and specific to that event. The more specific it is to the event, the more effective this is going to be. And of course, there's general coping thoughts like, I can handle this. I'm a good person, that's fine. If that resonates and you want to use that, and that's just what you can easily access, because when we're overwhelmed, and in my book I described, we cannot access our prefrontal cortex, which is, I use an owl, is our thinking part of our brain. So sometimes just saying the most general thing that's easy to come to, go for it, use it. However, if it's the case, if you can make it more specific, the better. So like with with the coworker, you could say, man, makes sense that I'm offended by what they said. And I can remain and be a professional. I'm able to set my feelings aside and get my work done. That's just an example. And it has to really feel true. And why that has to matter to make it more effective, because with memory reconsolidation is the process by which we can rewrite what gets stored down here. And just very simply, it means being able to experience all the energetic material related. So thoughts, feelings, emotions, and sensations, the sensations going on in your body, as well as any memories. The memories isn't always as important. It is definitely, but at least for this ABCs, focus on thoughts, feelings, and sensations. And with memory consolidation, you need to be able to access all that and notice how disturbing it is. Usually there's a scale 0 to 10. 0 feeling no disturbance at all. 10 is the most disturbance you've ever felt. So it's also helpful to kind of assess, where am I? Oh man, this is like a 7. Whoa. And at the same time, that can be part of your acknowledgement. That's a helpful tool. And then at the same time of holding that material, you provide a contradictory belief. And that is what's important to help with this, to be able to delete this material and rewrite the programming that's gone on in our low brain, in our reactive survival brain part. And this is not like a one shot we do and then it's over. This is why I made it so simple. ABCs takes a minute, bare minimum. And you have to repetition, relationships, safe relationships. You're creating a safe relationship with yourself because most of the time we didn't have. Most of us as kids didn't have anyone around to help us make sense of our feelings. And so now, as an adult, you are providing this for your mind and body and spirit and all the parts of you that didn't get this at different stages of your life. And so this takes time. It takes practice. I often recommend try something for at least 21 days to help make a secure connection in your mind, body, and spirit. Research shows it's even more. 40 times. 46 times, I think, is the latest number the science has shown. And again, anytime when you start dealing with material, it's often the surface, and so there's often a lot down. So I also have my website, positivereframe.org. I have 5 steps to positive reframe, which when you have time, which I encourage you to go through more thoroughly to process what's happening. Because again, if you don't process it, you're just going to keep repeating the same patterns and attracting a lot of the same conflicts. And it makes a lot of impact on negative consequences for our health and well-being, physical, mental, and relational. I highly suggest also going to a counselor because every situation is unique, and most of us didn't have these tools, so it's really helpful to have a qualified counselor. And obviously I'm biased. I think everyone would benefit from going to at least once. However, it takes time to find your fit. Your relationship with the therapist you have is really, really important. So I also encourage asking questions, shopping around, finding one that sits with you. I appreciate your time. Thank you.